Hello, and welcome to Learn Family University's course, Student Wellbeing and Successful Online Learning. I'm your presenter, Pamela Santerre. I'm the coordinator of online learning for Learn. My contact information is on the screen. Please contact me if I can help you and your young person be successful with online learning in any way. As always, we'll start this class with a disclaimer. You know your child best. While we will present some principles of well-being that you can use to help support your child's social and emotional learning skills, you do know your child best, and please take any of the tips that we have and leave the rest. This is the last of 8 modules, Communication with Other Parents. To start, author Ann Douglas, the author of Happy Parents, Happy Kids, wrote, "In our culture, we have a tendency to treat parenting as a private problem that we should be able to solve on our own, and we beat ourselves up when we can't. But here's the thing. The village has a vested interest in the health and well-being of its children because they represent the next generation of citizens. That's how things are supposed to work. We're supposed to feel supported by our fellow villagers. There are, after all, so many things the village can do to make things easier and better for parents and kids, and it's actually in the village's best interest to do so." The stronger your relationships are with the other parents in your child's life, the better able you all will be able to support each other. You don't have to be best friends. You just have to work together and support each other during this difficult time. This is especially important because getting support from other parents gets you through the worst of times. They can help you laugh, give you advice, see things in perspective, be a shoulder to cry on, and be someone to whom you can admit that sometimes you don't like your children. All good things. You and your child's social world is probably smaller, so the better your relationships with the people in your world are, the less alone you and your child will feel. You also need to share and compare the information you are getting from your children and the school about how their online education is going. However, there are some pitfalls to avoid. For example, don't compare yourself or other people's families to yours. No one has a perfect life. It wasn't possible before COVID-19, despite our curated social posts to the contrary, and it's not possible now. If you find yourself comparing your parenting or your family dynamics to someone else's, this is a good opportunity to practice self-compassion. Trying to be the perfect parent has always distracted us from being the parents our children need us to be. People who can acknowledge our struggles and mistakes with messy grace. What is the best way to ease someone's pain and suffering? In this beautifully animated RSA short, Dr. Brené Brown reminds us that we can only create a genuine, empathetic connection if we are brave enough to really get in touch with our own fragilities. Dr. Brené Brown is a research professor and the best-selling author of Daring Greatly: How the Courage to Be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. She has spent the past decade studying vulnerability, courage, worthiness, and shame.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Let's make sure we extend empathy to our parents and any adult in education right now. Give yourself and the other parents a break. When that parent annoys you or makes you really angry, operate from the place that they're not doing it on purpose. Refrain from participating in, gossiping, or putting down other parents or other young people. If you see or hear something bad, say something like, that must be really hard for that child or family. What can we do to support them? Using dignity, the idea that everyone is equal in worth, is a helpful way to reframe and depersonalize when you are feeling antagonism towards others. It allows you to still have your feelings, but realize that they should not take away from how we perceive others' worth. What if you get angry or frustrated with other parents? Should you reach out to other parents? If so, how? Use SEAL to frame your strategy. Here's a structure you can use to frame your conversations. First, text or email them and ask them when it's a good time to talk. When you're talking, thank them for taking the time with you. Explain specifically why you're reaching out. What happened that is a problem, and what would you like to happen instead? Acknowledge that you may not have the whole story or got it wrong, and you would welcome any information they have that would help you understand the situation better. If appropriate, set up a time for checking in to see if that issue has improved. Thank them for listening and assure them that they can reach out to you anytime. To wrap up Module 8, here are some key messages. 1. Other parents deserve our empathy. 2. We don't have to be best friends with other parents, but we do need to use each other as a support system. 3. Supporting other parents means sometimes having courageous conversations with them. You can use SEAL to guide your approach. And lastly, we are always modeling how to manage relationships. Avoid modeling that using gossip or dismissal of others' experiences is a good way to deal with frustration. Thank you for joining me in this course. Want to dive deeper? You can access this in a self-paced way. The link is on the screen. Again, thank you for joining me. Have a great day.